All right, we are here at the IELLO Games booth looking at some of their GenCon releases and hopefully seeing some of the stuff they have coming down the pipes in the next few months down until Essen. So what we have right here is Medieval Academy, which is out now, a GenCon release. So what can you tell us about Medieval Academy? Anything that you think should keep us excited?
I shouldn't have to keep you excited. You should be constantly excited. This is GenCon. Medieval Academy is our biggest release at the show, and I think it's great for a number of reasons. It fits the IELLO mold perfectly. That is, it has a huge age range for people who can play it. It's a 2 to 5 player game. Kids understand the basic mechanics, but the depth of the gameplay is really surprisingly good. So you play it, after the first play you go, oh, I understand what I can do better, but everybody you just played with also understands what they can do better. So it really keeps it tight and tense. It's really simple card drafting. You've got cards, you pick the card you want to keep, pass around, keep going around till you've got a new hand of cards. Then you've got to play your cards, which will move your tokens around the track. And really, you've got 7 tracks that all have to do with you as a squire learning to become a knight. So you're going to have service to the king, you're going to have tournaments, jousting, chivalry, poverty, learning, about that in education. So different tracks that you're going to move on. Each track scores differently, so some score every single turn. There's 6 turns in the game. Some will only score on the very last one. So when you're playing cards, you're going, maybe I'll not worry about the ones that aren't going to score till the very end. But if somebody gets too far ahead of you in those tracks, then you got to, kind of judge when you're doing it. So there are several strategies of when to play your cards, what cards you're going to keep, the order in which you do your things. And so all those concepts, very easy to understand, but the depth of the game, surprisingly good. So I love it for that.
And as far as looking down the future, are you guys planning any expansions for the game or any supplements that you may release, around Essen or around the holiday season? Or are you focusing on, yesterday you were at an event, you mentioned you have, 18, 20 games hopefully next year, 30 this year.
I don't like to say hopefully because I'm the marketing person and this is a bear to keep up. Last year we did about 30 games. A lot of marketing to be done. So I'm hopeful that we do keep it around 17. History tells me that that is not going to be the case, but I will deal with what comes our way. So this one, for this show even, if you purchase Medieval Academy, we have a special tile card which has another scoring. So I'm sure we will do more of the different tile boards, different scoring mechanisms on them as we go through. The game is immensely popular. We already went to the warehouse, brought more for the show based on first day sales. So we think it's going to be a game we're supporting for a good long time.
All right, that's fantastic. I know it's one that we were looking forward to coming to the con. And I think that's partly, of course, your job, marketing the game before the con, of course, and now keeping up some of that. We'll look into some of the games down the pipe in the future. So one of those that we were really hoping to ask about, we looked and saw yesterday. You guys have a rough print demo here, and that's the Big Book of Madness. What are you able to tell us regarding the Big Book of Madness?
For me, that game has the best storyline ever, so it's very immersive before you even get into it. You're a student at a magic school, new student. You get to specialize, pick the school you want, go into the School of Air, Water, Fire, Earth. So you've got the 4 different schools. Each character that you play has a little different personality. Got the great usual yellow art, so you can pick it based on the art or based on the special ability. But then you're in the school. The school has a great library with one very special book that all the teachers have told you this is a very dangerous book. Please do not go by it. Don't be hanging around it. And of course, as precocious young students, that's the first thing you do. You go in the library, oh, that book looks so cool, let's open it. It turns out to be a prison for all the worst magical monsters that have been captured over the centuries. And so now you've opened up this book and monsters come spilling out of the pages. As a new student, you've only learned 4 spells. So how in the world are you going to do this? You happen to be in a library, so cooperatively you're all going to decide the things you're going to do. It could be go to the shelves and learn new spells. It can be let's gang up, use all our energies in this one area to defeat the curses that the monster's throwing at us. I can upgrade, channel my energies to enhance the different elements that I'm able to summon. So a lot of great stuff in combating these monsters. So cooperative play. The one thing that I've seen different in this, the game promotes a lot more conversation than I normally see in cooperative games, because the choices that you can make in how to banish these monsters, you've got 5 actual steps. So the order in which you do things, who's doing them, can be very important. So rather than just saying, oh, don't worry about that, I'm going to do that next turn, that's going to be, don't worry, I'm going to do it next turn. They go, no, wait, we have to do it this way. And so there's more depth to the conversation, which is something I really love.
And you said there's the 4 elements. Does that then play 4 players, 8 players? Like, what's the range as far as how many people it can play?
Oh, that's a good question. Off the top of my head, I know you can play at least 4. I think you can play 5 or 6.
Okay.
But that's off the top of my head. I can go look, but people don't want to watch me go over there and look. So we're going to pretend that the answer is 5 or 6.
All right. And if that's wrong, we'll put the correct answer down below somewhere, because the power of editing.
Yeah. All right, let's talk King Series. We had gone to a IELLO event last night where you had kind of said, we're going to start doing one-off characters, right? The first of which that we've seen was actually more of a promo for World Builders, which is Patrick Rothfuss, right? The Dracus. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I read the book. I saw it in text, yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly how we say it.
Yep.
Just letter by letter.
Yep, the Dracus, and which is really awesome. I'm a big fan of Patrick Rothfuss and The Name of the Wind, and that supports a really good charity, right?
Yes.
And
right.
Yeah, and I was curious. Do you guys have more charity things like that, or is that just?
Yeah, we would love to do so. It's based on the opportunities that avail themselves. For that, obviously, we have to get Richard Garfield on board, and so there's a number of approvals, but everything just happened to fall in place right. The timing was just about perfect that we can do it here. So we just printed off a good quantity. We told them this is what we're willing to do charity-wise. We're going to give you these characters, how you want to deal with them. So they set the price. We gave them some ideas, and it's been phenomenal. It's barely enough to contain the excitement. But as we were talking about, we're looking to do individual characters next year, designed by famous game designers and famous artists. I can't tell you who's in the original art, but you're going to be plenty surprised and pretty excited. So we'll be selling one-off characters in a very neat package, and they will come with power-up cards. So Rothfuss's character over here does not have the power-up cards. It looks cool, but the ones that we're doing will come with power-up cards. So it's going to be a pretty cool series.
Excellent. When can we start seeing those in the stores, do you think?
I know the first artist we're working with is already putting in drafts. It usually does not take very long. So I would imagine by first quarter next year we should see probably the first one out.
So getting back onto the Dracus expansion, was that something where you approached them with this idea? Did they come to you? How did that come about?
They initiated it. But it was a brainstorming session that evolved into the whole thing. So definitely cooperative effort, but they put the first foot in the door.
Okay. So, and then some other games that we were looking at yesterday. We got to take an early look at Little Red Riding Hood, which we understand is on ships now. So hopefully will be to stores soon, and that is book 5 in the story game series. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then is there more games in that series that you're working on? Or what does the future have for that series?
Yeah, the series has been fantastic. For those that remember, we did Three Little Pigs, won the Origins Family Game of the Year. We did Baba Yaga. Tortoise and the Hare also won Family Games of the Year. One of Will Wheaton's favorite table book games in our series. And then we just did Anne and the Grasshopper, Little Red Riding Hood, about 4 to 6 weeks away from being in stores. Our goal is to do 2 each year. And so I already know that, I'll say it, but I don't know that it'll actually end up in fruition, but the plan is to do the Pied Piper of Hamelin. That's the next one they're trying, but at this point, game is far from being done, so if they can't get it together, maybe that would change, but our anticipation is to be doing that one next. Little Red Riding Hood is great. It's got some and the Grasshopper elements to it, and the 2 stages, all these games come in 2 stages, so you can play it for a younger audience or a more basic audience and then evolve into more advanced game mechanics. I really love the advanced game mechanics for this one. There's a lot of character interaction. There's the bluffing and second guessing what the wolf is doing as Red Riding is trying to get to Grandma's house as quick as possible, but the wolf knows the shortcuts, so, you know, the race to get there. I love the fact that you can play it solo play. You can play it in the base game where the wolf, everybody's playing against the wolf. When you get to the advanced phase, one person gets to play the wolf, so you're playing against something at table. So a lot of great dynamic shifts when you go from the base game to the more advanced game. So a lot of gameplay in that one box.
And that's where we got to take an early look at it yesterday. And I mean, of course, this one of the standard IELLO features is amazing artwork, and that stays true to that. But then also we're seeing a lot of like fun new designers come in as well. One of which is Roberto Fraga, who I believe did Spinderella. And he is now doing a game with you guys, Me Want Cookies.
Yes.
Which hilarious art. Really looking forward to that one. What can you tell us about Me Want Cookies?
Me Want Cookies is a re-theme. I don't remember what the original theme is, but it's really very quick, simple recognition. I believe it's going to be around $20, so components are pretty simple. You've got paths, and it's a race for monsters to grab snacks, which appeals to me, I think. So you're really just following visually lines in a race to connect cards and get to the last snack before anybody else. Plays very quick. When you demo it, 1 minute later you're playing. So I like those kind of games where people are immediately in the action.
Yeah, and it's one that, like you mentioned, like you can play it, you know, within a minute, so very low barriers of entry. And then looking at it, one of the things I wasn't sure about was, you know, is it for kind of like some of these games are younger audience, but it plays up from, you know, 8 to 80. What is the kind of age bracket that Me Want Cookies is looking for?
I think that's probably pretty close, 8 to 80. And I don't know if I'm good saying this on camera, but we have a lot of games that appeal to younger audience, and so we call those, you know, our family games because they're good with young ones playing with their parents. But I see a lot of adults playing them. Sometimes there's alcohol involved. You know, what you want to make of that. But so a lot of our games have that core age range as well. So I think it spans all ages. Grandmas definitely can play with kids, so I think it's really one of our broadest game bases for age.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And that's one of the things that I've come to really like about IELLO is these are games that I can take to my game night and play with my friends, but then when I have friends with children or my nieces come over, I can be like, hey, roll these dice, have this fun little space bunny, and try to attack my friends in Tokyo or in New York. And like they're able to pick those up and play them just as well as my adult friends at our game night.
Yeah. I think we specialize, you guys already mentioned the artwork. We try to really up the artwork and the components because we think that's part of the engagement of playing, really being able to enjoy the feel of the game. But even more than that is finding mechanics that we can spin off of. So King of Tokyo you're referring to really has a very simple rolling mechanic, very similar to Yahtzee. But if you say you're playing Yahtzee, but when you roll the dice instead of pips and numbers, they're actually actions you take. People now have a springboard to understand what this next level is. And so we try to hit that sweet spot where there's something very familiar about the game, but something new enough to add just a little bit more fun or dimension to the game.
Yep. And a game that's a bit further down, it was announced yesterday, and we got a chance to talk to the designer and the illustrator some yesterday, but that's Shadows over Normandy, which it's initially you'd think, Heroes of Normandy, only now instead of the Allies being heroes, it's Nazis who worship Cthulhu. And who doesn't want that, realistically? But as we said, it's a bit down the road. Is there anything you can tell us regarding this game?
Other than Devil Pig does fantastic work. They're the studio we're working with. They're the ones who created the game mechanic, which is really a miniatures game, but done with beautiful cardboard tiles. So it's got that miniatures feel, got really great depth. They've been fantastic at churning out expansions. So we've got St. Mayor Caraton, one other I'm blanking on right now, all coming out through the summer. We've had we've got cows, extra terrain tiles, so a lot of different stuff. So their big one, Kickstarter, is the Shadows Over, and I've seen the box art and one of the boards, and it's got that eerie, mysterious feel. And the fact that you've got dark Nazis who worship Cthulhu, I don't know. It just seems too fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to get my hands on it. We're still probably hoping on a first quarter release. We thought we might be able to get it out by Christmas, but realistically, I don't think we'll make that.
Okay. It's definitely one to keep an eye out for and keep looking up. I don't know, maybe we'll see more at Essen or some of the other festivals down the road. Definitely keep an eye on the website.
There was one more game that really caught my eye at the event last night, which is Niet. Really, we just sort of looked at artwork and kind of got a rough feel of gameplay. Can you tell us more about the gameplay in that?
A little bit. I haven't been sent any rules, so all I know is it's really a trick-taking card game. One of the people in our French office says it's the best card game he's ever played, so that kind of lives up to something. I love card games, so I can't wait to get my hands on it. But we've done that Cold War kind of theme, but with a very yellow twist. So the characters are monsters. So you've got the Russian general, who is a big, bulky bear. You've got the English, who is a crane, a long-beaked bird, very pompous, as it was if you're looking at the art. So the theme, I think, just helps the play, but I don't know is that integral. I truthfully do not know that much about it.
That's fair. It looks like a gorgeous game, and we'll have pictures there and there and there.
You've been seeing them.
And all over. But are there any other games that you are really excited about that are released here today that you want to talk to that we haven't covered?
The only other one that's coming out really soon, we only have the French copy. The game itself is language independent. Once you've read the rules, it's called Sapiens, which has a very clever, and I would equate it with King of Tokyo. It is at its core a domino-based game, so you're basing it, but when you connect your dominoes together, you get these power-ups. And so that's like King of Tokyo, where you roll the dice and you get certain symbols mean stuff. So you are, as cavemen, trying to lead your clan safely through the valley, making sure that they're properly fed and sheltered. And so that's what you're scoring on, those two tracks. But you have to keep your tracks very similar, because only your lowest track will score. But as you're doing it, you might get instant food. You might get an extra turn, just depending on the power-up. So you really have to look ahead. I think even more so than in a basic game of dominoes. And the components are fantastic, as always.
As always. So I think that's all I have. Is that all right? All right. And there's one more question I usually like to ask, and that is, a lot of our viewership tends to be indie game developers, right? They're not part of any publishing house. If they wanted to pitch a game to IELLO, who would they contact and how would they go about that?
All game design happens from the French R&D team. They do come out frequently to the shows. They're here at GenCon. They usually come out to New York Toy Fair. Occasionally they'll come out to Gamma or Origins, those shows. So you really just need to contact us. I believe there's a link on our page. And for the shows that they're coming out to, you just have to book an appointment. That's really what it is. We put their calendar up there, you pick a slot and come meet with them. I will tell you that we are looking for creativity. So if you think slightly out of the box, then that may be a really good fit. We don't want to see just a retheme of another great game. The retheme is not enough. We need something that we feel makes it a yellow game. But we're very open to looking at outside inventors, and with producing dozens of new games each year, we need the outside support from new inventors.
I think that's all we have here from IELLO at GenCon 2015. Turn in for more news later. Thanks.